boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
Dave Allen weighed in 265, 7 pounds heavier than last December. Johnny Fisher weighed a pound over what he weighed last December. 241 for tomorrow's fight. Dave Allen is listed 1 inch shorter than Johnny. It looks like a 2 inch at least height difference between them. If you've already put your bets on for this fight, here's some reasons why you might be concerned. Dave has weighed up to 270 in his career, but he was a lot younger. He's 33 now. His opponent is 7 years younger. It gets harder to carry weight like that around with you as you get older because the muscle mass gets compromised as you get older. It also shows a pattern in Dave's career where he hasn't trained for fights. He's been inconsistent with his performances. His weight fluctuates. He was talking to the woman who said, "Oh, you look in great shape," before he weighed in. And a lot of people were saying that to Dave, or about Dave. Dave's jaw looks chiseled. And this happens often in boxing, where fighters, before they're fully derobed for the weigh-in, you get members of the media saying, "Oh, doesn't he look in shape? His jaw looks chiseled. We've heard that he's working really hard in camp," etc. And the fighter might say things to add to that assumption. "Yeah, I'm training real hard. I'm really putting in a shift this camp." But you know what that is a lot of times? It's the boxing fan. It's the boxing media's delusion. Their optimism. I mean, what is his career? Highest payday perhaps? A great opportunity to move on for bigger paydays? Surely Dave would come in shape. Surely there's no way Dave would goof off in his training camp. You don't want to entertain the possibility that Dave would let down the fans. Dave's talking a good fight. Jamie Moore's trainer talking a good fight. You're looking forward to the fight. You're all excited. So now you're telling yourself, "Wow, look at Dave. He's in great shape." Based on what? But the Fraser Clark fight was less than 2 years ago, when in his own words this week he admitted he swallowed it. It's nothing new for Dave Allen to turn up out of shape, get in the ring and look disinterested. It's nothing new.
Nothing new. Them not saying nothing new.
The word on Dave Allen as well.
Disappointed. Very disappointed. You give him the opportunity, you know, I don't mean to sound like an arsehole, but I'm just being honest with you, and he fucked it up. You know, he was poor, he didn't put punches together, combinations together, he didn't really look fit. He was in town today going to meet people in the pubs on social media. You don't do that if you want to be a champion. You know what I mean? The reception he got was amazing, but if you want to be taken seriously, you've got to be professional and you've got to behave like a champion if you want to be a champion.
That was post-fight. Dave's Commonwealth title attempt against the gatekeeper, Lenroy Thomas. And Dave came in at 236, which is a good weight. So the weight is not always an indication if a heavyweight is out of shape or demotivated. And Eddie Hearn laid into him. Now look, Dave himself, he said he's came in heavy deliberately for the Johnny Fisher. That's what he said after the weigh-in. But I'm going to be holding him accountable to his words, depending on his performance. But in the words of Public Enemy,
Get dressed!
Now Curtis Woodhouse, he said, if Johnny Fisher can keep it simple, use his jab, 1-2s, right hand straight down the pipe, don't make it too complicated, tie Dave up, walk him back from the clinch, don't get drawn into the slugfest because the crowd is demanding it, because you'd just be opening up one of the few avenues that Dave can win with a sneaky counterpunch. You see, Dave has got it in his mind that he's too smart for Johnny Fisher. And although he might not be able to call break like he did last time, and Johnny stepped back and left himself open to get caught with a left hook, he believes that he can walk Johnny into a counter against the run of play. He can outsmart Johnny, let Johnny do all the work, and he perhaps steal around here or there with a flurry at the end of it. I don't like the strategy for Dave. Johnny must make sure he keeps up a consistent work rate, pile up points, make Dave work when he doesn't want to work. Dave trying to get an advantage through extra weight when he's the shorter man, I think it just leaves him as a sitting duck as the round goes on and the added weight tires him out, makes him less mobile, and Johnny should be able to take advantage of that. If we're talking about heavyweights, generally the added weight advantage works in the taller fighter's favour, where they can use the leverage to push down and on the shorter opponent. Now, how limited is Johnny Fisher is what we have to ask. Like I said, it's just a couple of years ago that Dave Allen, in his own words, swallowed it against Fraser Clark. And around that time period, he was either inactive or he was fighting around a small hall fight zone circuit. No disrespect to Dennis Hobson. He works hard on them small hall shows. And in the last 4 years or so, he's been inactive or fighting against small hall level opposition, and he still nearly beat Johnny Fisher. Johnny Fisher, his dad, doing a lot of talking about who they were ready to fight, who they could stop in 3 rounds. But the whole operation has went into panic. Yeah, you can sell tickets, but after he nearly came up missing against Dave Allen, you saw the dad go into a flipping panic hissy fit because Gareth Davis said the judge's scoring was disgraceful and has been acting like an absolute fool since. But the reason Big John, his dad, is panicking is because he realizes that his son really might be out of his depth when you talk about him taking on top 10, top 15, 20 heavyweights.
You start to sweat and fret, it gets hot. How'd you get into this spot?
So the younger Johnny Fisher, full training camp, probably hasn't been goofing off training. He's only put on a pound since the last fight. I actually thought he might have deliberately came in heavier for this fight. Well, look, if he can't beat Dave, or if he struggles like he did last time, those who have been saying he's a height job will be proved right, at least for now. We've got to give him a few more fights to try and prove himself, but second time round, you're supposed to beat Dave Allen and actually look good doing it. I mean, Fraser Clark didn't look good against Dave Allen, but he never had no issues at all. It was an easy fight. We were more weighing up his performance in terms of how far he can go as a heavyweight, more than Dave Allen actually giving him issues. Anyway, Johnny Fisher, points decision. Don't be surprised if the main headlines from the fight are, did Dave Allen train? He didn't try, really disappointed, etc, etc.
Swallow it.
Boxing beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
But to share a car with Fabio as well, you know, you've been on this journey with him. It must be extra special as well. It
You
must
know
be
what?
really
It's been amazing because Fabio's been there for me on a lot of my big nights. We're a team. It's not just pen and paper. You know what I mean? It's an opportunity to fight. Sometimes in life you have to be humble enough to do the right thing and put your ego on the side and think, okay, I'm gonna go into a big fight in the spring, in summertime, whatever. What am I gonna do? What? Put my ego under the table and say, no, I'm not fighting because I'm not the main event. No. Sometimes you have to just get on with it, bro. You just get on with it. You know, there's an ends to a mean.
with Matrimony on Sky, Dillian White was a pay-per-view draw in his own right. Let's not forget that. And it's refreshing to hear someone who's been a pay-per-view fighter being able to climb off their high horse and not get in their own way. Yeah, Fabio might have been on Dillian's undercards previously. The paperwork may say Dillian manages Fabio, but this is a great opportunity. Portman Road, a stadium built, promoted by Frank Warren on the zone. Dillian gets to earn a little money, and if it's on Fabio's undercard, big deal. Big deal. Like he said, this is supposed to be an ends to a means. The opponent is still to be announced. And it's refreshing to hear that, because across the pond, and I know I get stuck into across the pond a lot, but if you listen to the channel, I'll get stuck into anything if it's whack. Like, okay, I can understand Shakur being a free weight champion, an Olympian, going back and forth with Edgar Berlanga, who's never won a belt at no weight, expecting to be the headline act in the New York card when he takes on Sabeda, and they went back and forth. But to me, Shakur should be more concerned about putting on a good performance, because people are still channeling that Dos Santos performance as a defining moment in his career. Right now, there's a growing number of boxing fans who have him labelled as a boring fighter. And Edgar Berlanga, he says that the Canelo fans are asking him when they're going to have a rematch. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. And when Shakur said he should be headliner, Berlanga came back at him. When you stink the place out, they bring me on to bring the excitement. Don't let me shake your hand when I see you next. Don't want to break your brittle hands. And they should really be concentrating on performances rather than who is A-siding the event. You're both getting paid a bucket load of money. I tell you who will be A-side is the one who shines on the night. That's who will be A-side. Bottom line is, no one really cares like that. Neither of them are on the pound for pound list. Who cares who's A-side or who says they're headlining? Who really cares? Nobody. Clarissa Shields, same thing. She won't fight on the undercard of Serrano and Taylor because she's too big for that. When women's boxing basically lives on MVP and Netflix, it basically lives on there. The attitude should have been, yeah, I'll go on your card and I'm going to outshine both of you. And you're going to pay me handsomely for doing so, Amanda. Fight on the undercard of Serrano and Taylor, and you're basically promoting your headlining role for your next fight on MVP. She talks a lot about equality for women getting paid in boxing, but she doesn't really cooperate with her peers, aka other female boxers. Weird. Then you got Samson Laukowitz and David Benavidez saying a Benavidez-Bivol fight has to be in America, not in Riyadh, or it goes to purse bids. No, you can go do what you're doing in America. No one cares right now. Bivol and Beterbiev are going to have their third fight. The misinformed may say, well, it's not for undisputed. So what is the lineal champion then? No one cares. Benavidez, no one cares. So congrats to Dillian for coming off his high horse. His opponent is still a TBA. Dillian's attitude is what a lot of young fighters need to look at. You need to prioritize getting money, staying active, over some dumb A-side and I should. In saying that, how old is Dillian? 37. He looked like absolute sheriff in his last fight. It's not like he's in a position to demand to be the headliner, is it? And whoever they put in front of him on that Portman Road card, he needs to look a lot better than he did against Tete. You saw what Fraser Clark did to that guy just the other week.
Boxing beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
He already knew you got your ass whipped, bro. You was in Saudi, you got your ass whipped in your hometown. That's embarrassing, bro. You think you're gonna come to my shit over here? This is my shit. You think you're gonna come over here and fuck with me? You crazy? They gonna have to kill me, bro.
Edgar. Who gives Edgar a pass to use the N-word? Just because he didn't say it in a derogative against another black person, does he still get a pass to say it? I'm asking you New Yorkers. How does it work? And Hamza Sheeraz getting a gift in his hometown. I remember taking the 123 bus to Ilford. And as far as I remember, it's nowhere near Saudi Arabia. You want ignorant again. I don't know if you guys can remember, I said this guy is going to be very belligerent about the prospect of a UK kid beating him in America, in his backyard. And he said, yeah, you're going to have to kill me. I don't think he said that about any other opponent beforehand. And Edgar's a dirty fighter, and he's going to fight dirty, especially if the fight's not going his way. And Sheeraz needs to be pre-warned. Get ready to fight fire with fire in there, because there's no excuses. There's no excuses after saying Edgar's dirty or we didn't like his language and we don't like him, and there's no excuses. They were asking Sheeraz about the hand, is it healed? And Spencer Brown, Sheeraz's manager, said yes, the broken hand is healed. Broken? Nicky Funes said the hand was not broken, it was bruised. And am I to believe that his hand is healed so well from February that they're prepared to charge Hamza going in there with a dangerous opponent? He might be ignorant, but he's dangerous. In New York, in his debut at 168, the broken hand was an excuse for the mediocre performance against Adames. There's no more excuses. I'm not saying it's over if Hamza loses, but you can't go to the excuse box every time you misperform or you lose. He was gifted a decision, and he has to get ready for warfare when he goes over to New York. If your hand's broken or bruised or whatever, you're gonna have to keep throwing it. You have to keep throwing it to keep this Edgar guy off.
So he's rolling the dice. Good luck to him.
Eddie, Kevin Garcia with Fight Hype. I wanted to ask you about that. What you just mentioned, Edgar having a lot to say. He was shooting the gun at you, from the side of the stage there. I walked over and I asked him about that. It was F. Eddie. Where do you think this comes from? You guys seem to be on good terms.
I think we're pretty much on good terms. I mean, I think he's a little bit rude sometimes. I think he should have a picture of me in his lounge. And every time he walks past his lounge in his new house with all his ice, everywhere, he should pick up, the chains that he wears. That's probably, 50 grand, 100 grand, 100. Every time he picks it up, he should go, thank you, Eddie.
Did the interviewer and Eddie Hearn say, I think Berlanga is on good terms with Eddie and he's simulating guns at Eddie? Now, I know Eddie's not trying to stir up the situation, but surely you must know you're talking a whole load of shit. That someone's simulating their hand into a gun and point it at you. You cannot be on good terms with them. He better perform against Hamza Sheeraz, because any Hamza bodies him, somebody is going to get meme city that day. Social media will be unapologetic and unforgiving for Edgar Berlanga if he gets chinned.
Boxing beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.
For you to make such a statement, who has Callum Smith fought and beat of a level where you can say they are world-class fighters. Because guess what?
Tunde, put it back to you then. Put it back to you then, Anthony.
Simon? Lyndon Arthur fought Bivol and lost on points. Bivol is now the undisputed champion.
But Tunde,
we fought Better BF. We lost in a fight of the year. Better BF was the undisputed champion.
Same argument.
Callum Smith has fought both guys and never even looked like he won a round. So how have you managed to say that he's in a better position or better place than Anthony Yarde?
Because,
when in truth,
because I think he's
reality,
I think he's the better fighter.
Callum Smith has only ever beaten a fighter like George Grove, a British fighter, at the end of his career. To this day, Callum Smith has not fought competitively against a world champion. Was Anthony Yarde competitive against Kovalev? Yes, he was.
Yeah,
he almost stopped him in the 8th.
So, Tunde legitimizes Yarde's 2 wins, 1 loss against Lyndon Arthur because Lyndon went the distance with Bivol. But yet, Callum Smith went the distance with Canelo. And as far as I remember, Smith never went on the canvas. Lyndon went on the canvas. Neither Lyndon was competitive with Bivol and neither Callum was competitive with Canelo. So how comes Lyndon gets credit and Callum don't get credit? And everything is about the losses. Tunde basically wants participation prizes, saying that Callum, his best win for a world title, by the way, Yarde's never won a world title, was against the old past it George Groves. Well, wasn't Yarde's first loss against Kovalev against the Kovalev who lost twice to Andre Ward, controversial or not, and then was stopped by Eleda Alvarez? That Kovalev was a faded version. Also, when Anthony fought Lyndon, was Lyndon ranked #1 across 2 or 3 sanctioning bodies? Because I can tell you this, when Callum Smith beat Joshua Buatsi, Buatsi was ranked #1, #2 and 3 and 4, high up in all the sanctioning bodies when Callum defeated him. Tunde has made arguments that losing performances against Kovalev and Beterbiev makes them the A side when they were negotiating the Buatsi fight. I've never seen anyone put so much stock into losing efforts. Regardless if George Groves was past it or not, Callum Smith beat him and became WBC super middleweight champion, and he won the WBSS tournament in the process. You cannot take that away from Callum Smith. This is Callum Smith's 2nd weight class. The first one, he had a legit world title, and in the second one he has an interim title at 175. George Groves took Badou Jack to a split decision in America. 2 classic fights with Carl Froch. Beat the likes of James DeGale, Prime Eubank Jr., Joshua Buatsi. The best wins Yarde has is Lyndon Arthur. Let's not talk about how well he did against Beterbiev or Kovalev. His best wins are against Lyndon Arthur. That's it. Who's Lyndon got on his resume? Liam Cameron. He won the IBO title and a few other decent names, but nothing that stands out. Who's got the better bodies on their resume is the question. There's a poll in the description box. I would like you to participate. Now let's see if the fight gets made for the 5 versus 5 in August. Callum Smith made an appeal to the WBC for Bivol to defend against him, which they turned down, and Bivol will be taking on Beterbiev for the 3rd time. Do I think Callum Smith is itching to go at Anthony Yarde? No. He wants to hold that interim position to his advantage. He doesn't want to take no dangerous fight now he's got it. And Yarde is a dangerous fight. So let's see if he takes it. Turkey's putting up the money, so I don't think he'll be able to argue that he's not getting paid enough to dodge the fight. And Beterbiev and Bivol are tied up. Everyone's got to do something else, whether it's Benavidez, Smith, Yarde. They've got to do something else. I think Yarde has a chance in that fight. I think he has a chance. But Callum goes in as the favourite on the form guide, on the resume guide, on the accomplishment guide. Yeah.
Boxing beats and rhymes.
No one
Can do it better.